Hey guys, Adrian Clarke here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be previewing Manchester United against Arsenal. I'll hopefully be providing some insights on the opposition, the kind of game that we can expect, what Arsenal need to do tactically in order to get the win, and of course we'll discuss as well some of the strengths and weaknesses around Manchester United and what could be the deciding factors in this particular match. Can't wait for it. The start of a brand new season. And for Arsenal, obviously it's a testing opener, but it's also an exciting one, isn't it? And an opportunity to make an early mark, to take points off a big gun. And look, it has been 2 whole seasons since Arsenal lost to a traditional Big Six side. So I think we can absolutely go to Old Trafford with a little bit of confidence. Let's talk about the lineup, shall we? The likely lineup for Manchester United. I think Onana will be in goal. It'll be a back three. 3-4-2-1 is the most likely formation. They used it every match under Ruben Amorim last season. I think Lenny Yoro, the 19-year-old, will be right side centre back. Probably Luke Shaw on the left. And in the middle, I would probably say it'd be De Ligt. It could be Maguire. The wing backs are locked in, really. Ahmad on the right, Dorgu on the left, and then you've got Bruno Fernandes as an orthodox central midfielder, alongside probably Agate, it could be Casemiro, with the all-star trio up front, the new faces there of Cunha to the left, and Mbeumo to the right, and Benjamin Sesko up front. That's if he's fit enough to start, of course. So let's go with Sesko to kick off, shall we? I can't sit here and pretend that I don't think he's a good player, because I do. I think he's an excellent talent, has all the tools at the age of 22 to become a world-class striker. You know, he's tall, he's got an unbelievable leap, very dangerous in the air, he's quick, and he's also nimble. He's got good footwork, excellent movement as well. And I've looked through all of his goals for RB Leipzig, 39 of them across the last 2 seasons. And look, there's a wide variety of strikes in there. We can see on the screen in terms of the types of finishes that he makes. Yes, he's predominantly right-footed, that's his strength, but really you can see that he scores a lot of headers, 10 in total, as well as 9 left-footed shots. So if he gets the ball onto his left foot inside the box, Sesko, he's not afraid to use it, and he can be fairly clinical off both sides. In terms of the headers, the height is a big factor, of course, and he's got some leap on him. So just Arsenal got to be very, very wary, I think, of balls crossed in towards the far post, where Sesko can absolutely climb above most defenders and head into the back of the net. So that is his domain, and that's something that Arsenal should absolutely protect. He's a good improviser in terms of finishes. He scores a lot of volleys. Scores from outside the box. He's got good footwork, a little bit like Victor Gyökeres inside the box. He can skill up opponents and find the finish, and he snaffles plenty of sort of tap-ins and rebounds as well. So Sesko is a player that Arsenal have to keep quiet in this game. Who's his best friend in this match? Well, I think it's probably Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes is Manchester United's best creator. He actually created more chances in the Premier League than any other player last season in a really rotten campaign for Manchester United. Bruno still created 91 chances, which is way more than anybody else in Manchester United's ranks. Amad Diallo was closest with 49. So look, and the thing with Bruno, what we've got to stop, and we've got to get these distances right. In terms of you want to squeeze up, you want to congest space for Cunha, for Mbeumo, of course you do, but you also don't want to leave space in behind, and that's going to be a really, really important facet of this game, because Bruno Fernandes made more through balls than any other Premier League player last season, 31 of them, and a lot of goals that Sesko scored over in the Bundesliga came from through balls and then sort of carrying the ball towards goal and finishing in that way. So he is absolutely a danger man here. I also think in terms of if United are putting on a little bit of pressure, I think Arsenal don't want to get too deep. Absolutely do not want to get pushed back inside our own box. We've got to try and hold our line not high, but certainly not sit on the goalkeeper's toes, because Manchester United now have 3 players Actually 4 when you count Bruno Fernandes, who can score from range, and that's something that really they didn't have last season. Bruno Fernandes was the man. He had so many shots from outside the penalty box. Bruno Fernandes, second only to Cole Palmer last season, 62 shots, but he scored 5 goals, and those 5 goals from outside the box were a joint high with Matheus Cunha, who you can see on that list, ranked 4th for shots from outside the box. So you've got Cunha, who is very deadly from distance. You've got Bruno Fernandes, who can absolutely score, as I've just outlined. You've got Mbeumo, who I think had 23 shots, 2 goals from outside the box, but we all know what a good left foot he's got, so he has to be respected. And then you've got to chuck in Sesko. We've all seen the show reels, the highlights. 4 of his goals for Leipzig were absolute humdingers. They were from distance, and he can absolutely bang a ball. So it's very important that Arsenal always close down one of those players in and around the final third, because they have the talent to score from that kind of range, which they didn't really have last season. Right, how do we handle Manchester United's strengths then, in terms of, especially those 2 new guys, Cunha and Mbeumo, looking to get in those little half-space pockets? I don't think Cunha will be wide. Mbeumo at times will, but he'll mainly play infield of Ahmad. So they're looking to get the ball into them between Arsenal centre-backs and Arsenal central midfield. So that gap has got to shrink where possible. It's got to be nice and tight. That's why I was really pleased to see Rice and Zubimendi playing in a double pivot last weekend against Athletic Club Bilbao, because I do feel that if say Declan Rice was caught forward and you were just reliant on Zubimendi, he can't really cover both players. You can't screen the service as easily into those 2 key attacking midfield players. So for me, I think Rice and Zubimendi should play as a 2, and I hope that they do play as a 2. Also, it'll offer protection when Arsenal lose the ball, because I would expect Arsenal to be front-footed here to try and take the game to Manchester United, which means that when we lose the ball, hopefully we'll still have Rice and Zubimendi and at least 3 of the back 4 intact. Expect 1 full-back to go forward at a time, maybe not both at the same time. So it just adds a little bit of cover for us from those turnovers. Look, that is really the main thing in terms of stopping the ball into their feet. I've talked about getting the distances right in terms of the runs in beyond, because on the counter-attack, Sesko is a threat. There's no question about that. So Arsenal have to box clever, and it's all about finding a balance really between attack and defence. Personally, I think you've got to be wary of their talents, but ultimately Arsenal are a lot stronger side than Manchester United, and I think this is a game where we have to take it to them and try and exploit the weaknesses that they had. And they haven't really changed their defence. The central midfield is very much the same as last season, and that is how we can hurt them, because they do not have a strong central midfield. They don't have great athleticism. If Bruno's in there in a 2, then that's potentially good news. He's a great player, we know that, but does he really want to track runners? Does he really want to get up and down the pitch? Can they handle Rice, Zubimendi and Ødegaard, which you'd hope that there'll be a numerical advantage for Arsenal there sometimes, especially if one of the fullbacks tucks in as well. You can create 4v2, 4v3. So looking forward to seeing how our midfield dominates Manchester United, because we absolutely should. Right, how can we go and hurt them then? Apart from that, I think Victor Gyökeres, for me, has the game to unsettle a back 3. You've really got to look at him spinning in behind Lenny Yoro down our left, Manchester United's right at times. What Yoro will want to do, he'll want to sort of squeeze in and get tight and be aggressive where possible. So hopefully Gyökeres can spin him either with or without the ball. With the ball at his feet, he can roll him, or we can maybe play him into that gap between himself and Ahmed down that side, because Amad Diallo will want to get forward surely here. So I do think that Gyökeres, whether we play a possession game, whether we're on the counter, I think his penetrative runs can really cause Manchester United problems. One feature in pre-season, you might have seen it on my piece for the Arsenal website, Arsenal Analysed, is those switches of play to Bukayo Saka. I'd love to see those, particularly early on in the game. Get it on the left-hand side, bosh, over to Saka, because if he can get in 1v1s against Luke Shaw, for example, you'd fancy him. Luke Shaw's done okay against him in the past, but Saka looks sharp, and look, I'd fancy him up against Dorgu even as well if it was him that he was up against in 1v1s. But the key really for me is to move it quickly and maybe over distance to Bukayo Saka so that they can't double up on him. What you don't really want is a slow service into him. He's got Dorgu there and he's got Shaw on his inside and he's cutting back and playing the easy pass. We want to get him 1v1 as much as possible. Can we get 2v1s? I think we probably can. It much would depend on the fullbacks, of course, but Ben White can fly forward on the outside and create 2v1s. Really take Dorgu the other way, especially if Ødegaard just drifts into the right side. That means probably Shaw has to look after him, which means that you could potentially create 2v1s down that side. It won't happen as much on the left, but maybe if Calafiori plays, that is a possibility. But whenever you play against a team with a back three and wing backs, all managers will say, well, if you've got a back four, you can create 2v1s against that wing back on the outside. But you've got to do it quickly. You really do. So yeah, when I'm thinking about this tactic, I'm thinking of Ben White and probably Calafiori to start. But we'll get to the Arsenal lineup a little bit later, the lineup that I personally would like to see. But as I said earlier, you've got to be aware of Manchester United's new strengths. They're going to be more creative. They will have more goal threat. They've got better finishers. Last year, only Southampton had a worse conversion rate than Manchester United. But this time around, that won't be the case. They've got too many good players. But we shouldn't, I don't think, be preoccupied too much by Manchester United. It's as much about taking the game to them and exposing their weaknesses. And look, last season, obviously it's a new season, but last season they had plenty of weaknesses. I've talked about their central midfield. They also had a real fragility in the air. If you put balls into the box, they didn't defend them very well at all. So that could be good news maybe for Kai Havertz if he comes off the bench. I'm assuming he's going to be on the bench. Gabriel as well. Gabriel Magalhaes is obviously going to be a big player here for Arsenal. They conceded the second highest number of headers last season, Manchester United, 13 of them. And they also conceded 13 goals from set pieces. Only Arsenal, which was really disappointing. Wolves and Southampton conceded more goals from dead balls, which is corners and wide free kicks. So they do have a fragility there. And in pre-season, I think against Fiorentina in the last game of pre-season, check it out. It's a terrible, terrible goal to concede where everyone gets drawn to the near post. The Fiorentina player was all on his own at the far post to score. And of course, we've done that in pre-season with Norgaard's goal. And look, we've got a lot of players, particularly at the far post, that will plunder plenty of strikes from corners and wide free kicks this season. So yeah, those are big weaknesses that Arsenal can exploit, as well as that central midfield where I'm really, really shocked actually that Ruben Amorim hasn't addressed that part of the field, because for me, until they fix that engine room, Manchester United will struggle to break into the top four. They're going to be miles better this year, but they will struggle to break into the real true elite in the Premier League until they fix that central midfield. So hopefully this is a good time to play them, and that Arsenal can dominate the game. So let's end with my starting 11, shall we? No surprises who's in goal. David Raya. The centre-backs, I would play Gabriel alongside Saliba. I think that Gabriel has showed me in the last game that he's just about ready. I mean, he's very short on game time. But he did look good against Athletic Club. So hopefully he's good to go. He might not last, so we can always make that change. But yeah, I'd like to see those two together. The fullbacks are pick'ems for me. Could be Timber or White, couldn't it? Timber, probably the better defender, 1v1. But I'm saying, let's go at them here. Let's take the fight to Manchester United. And for that reason, I would go with White, because his partnership with Saka in pre-season has been so strong. And I think that he deserves his place in the starting lineup. Ben White to start at Old Trafford on Sunday. At left back, I'm really loath to leave out Miles Lewis-Skelly, because he's so brilliant and we love him, and he was fantastic last season. But I really enjoyed watching Calafiori against Athletic, and he seemed to sort of unlock that left-hand side with a bit of chaos, a bit of carnage. I really like the positions he takes. I like the dynamism, and I do think his height as well could be an asset in the game. So I would go with Calafiori at left back in this particular game. Then it's locked in midfield. It's Zubimendi and Rice as a pair, with Ødegaard playing centrally as the number 10 link man. Bukayo Saka has to play on the right. It's Martinelli or Madueke for me on the left. Noni Madueke shown real glimpses of promise. I would probably use him off the bench here and go with Martinelli, who's had a bit of joy at Old Trafford before. And I think that he'll be really hungry to shine. So, yeah, I'd go with those three behind Victor Gyökeres. Kai Havertz is superb. I really love him as a player. But I think we've bought Victor Gyökeres for games like this. And he looked sharp enough last time out to make you think that he can do some damage against Manchester United at Old Trafford. So there we go then. 4:30 Sunday. Can Arsenal go to Manchester United and get the win? I think they can. Obviously, you take a point if that's the worst possible outcome. You certainly don't want to be losing this game. But I think this is a match that Arsenal can win. And it's probably high time, really, that the Gunners went to Old Trafford and turned it on. I don't think we've always produced our best football at that ground. I don't know what the reason is, something's held us back. But this is the first game of the season. We've got new faces involved. There's so much excitement and anticipation for the season ahead. Hopefully that will get the juices flowing and the team will play to their potential. And if they do play to their potential, I do believe that Arsenal will be too good for Manchester United in the game, and that we can kick off the brand new campaign with 3 big points. Can't wait for the game. I'll be back probably on Monday to review and analyse the performance, win, lose or draw. Hopefully it'll be after a win. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Please do continue to tell your friends about the channel. I appreciate all of your support. Until now then, for now then, let's look forward to a big game on Sunday. Fingers crossed the Arsenal win. Bye for now.